is Ibrahim Mahama. I'm a visual artist from northern Ghana, Tamale to be specific. I was invited to make a proposal for the Kochi Biennale 2025. And I've been working on this project for many years, since COVID period. It's called the Parliament of Ghosts. This project was originally designed for the Manchester International Festival in 2019. And basically the original work involved using the decayed materials and carcasses of colonial residue from the British colonial period, sending it to Manchester and building this parliamentary form that allowed for different kinds of conveniences and all that. And in the context of Kochi, the idea has been to collect materials locally. So furnitures, some furnitures coming from the colonial period or others. There is a current work at Ibras in London, which actually involves like the collection of these colonial furnitures from Ghana, which was made during the colonial time in the early 20th century to mid 20th century, restoring it. So the most important thing about the Parliament of Ghosts is about the question of decay, the question of repair, restoration, restitution, but most importantly about the question of the gift of memory in a way. So here we're looking at the basic relationship between the jute bags and then the furniture. Most of the jute bags that you see hanging here are jute bags that we've collected also locally, and we work with the local women here in order to be able to sew this together. When I started my practice like a decade and a little ago, I was collecting these materials in Ghana, and primarily the materials that we work with in Ghana are made in India and Bangladesh and brought to Ghana. And this is the first time that I'm working with the material from the place that it's made and focusing a lot on, so you can see that there's a lot of like textures and like there's a lot of stamps actually from the commodities that are contained, that were once contained within the materials. And certainly if we're talking about the idea of the commodity in relation to art, we're also thinking about how we think about it beyond that in relation to this kind of communal spirit, focusing on the inherent labors that are trapped within this. So I think that's where the ghost also become important for us to be able to somehow go back to this idea of the collective spirit and all that. So basically this parliament as an installation is going to be used for performances, talks, lectures, and all kinds of other things throughout the context of the biennial. So we invite people to come and use the parliament, and also just tell the biennial, if you want to do a class or a screening or whatever here, it's open to the public. All the materials actually used here are all sourced from India, specifically from Kochi and Kerala. And I didn't want to produce, of course, I'm also aware about the economic conditions around producing work in the context of India, and I didn't want us to transport any materials. Of course, together with the curator, Nikhil, we had an agreement of like what it meant to produce a work for the context of this, for the biennial. So we decided to collect all the materials locally. And I was very lucky that the production team in the biennial was very effective and very much hands-on on the project. So they went around different spaces, shops where there were like broken furnitures. We collected all this. And also like some of the markets where they have some of the bags, not discarded though, but bags which are still being in use, which we collected. And then, yeah, we just had to plan who to work with. So we formed a group of local women who helped us to be able to sew the bags together, and also like opening up these workshops with like artists and students alike within the region. And yeah, through a series of workshops and other kinds of participations, we were able to like put the installation together. Yeah, Kochi is a very layered city, and it's also interesting because of the history that it comes with. You know, Ghana was called the Gold Coast, and Ghana and India share quite a lot of history. Ghana got independence 10 years after India, and there's a very significant event in Ghana that happens in 1948, a year after India gains independence. And the year India gained independence is the same year that Kwame Nkrumah, our first president, came back from America to be the secretary for the United Gold Coast Convention, which was one of the movements that was actually leading towards like the independence that we got 10 years later. So for me, I think it's quite interesting to think about the materiality of the city in a way, in terms of this place, not just like in terms of like Cochin as a whole, but looking at like Fort Kochi in terms of like the ports, looking at like the layers of like the history of the layers of the buildings which are here. When you come to Ghana, there's similarly a lot of that, like in Jamestown and in Cape Coast and many other places, and throughout the country, whether in the north or other places. So, and for me, I think it's actually quite interesting thinking about these layers of memory. The boats here have been quite fascinating for me, so it's really got me rethinking about what it means in order to be able to like work with these kinds of materials, or like whether the imagery of them or looking at the historical context of it and all that. So I think that going forward, I'm really rethinking about what kind of materials I'm going to use within my work, what kind of installations that can be produced out of it, and how those installations also perform, because mostly when I make works, I like them to be works that are politically and socially charged. So certainly, I'm learning quite a lot of things visually from this small island, and what it has to present for me in terms of my future work. It's interesting to look at the history of trade within this place, within this island. Even like Aspen House, which used to be a space where like spices would be dried and then also like put on boats, which would be sent away and all that. Certainly, a lot of the materials that we're using here are the same. There are materials that are carrying these same commodities and all that. And sometimes I seem to forget that in the work that I do, because when I started my practice, it was more or less about looking at this idea of like the commodity and trying to somehow take a piece of commodity and then trying to somehow deconstruct it and trying to find ways in which we could redistribute whatever elements came out from it. Yeah, so it's one of the things that I'm learning again from the history of this place, and also just from the organization of the place in terms of like how different people relate to one another within this space. There's a heavy sense of community also within this space. So yeah, it's one of the things that I'm learning. I'm beginning to relearn again about the question back to redistribution, how to take an idea, a form, and how to break it down, and how to like reshare it within a context of a larger community. So it's something that I'm very much looking forward to expanding. I think certainly the question of community is embedded for me within the question of shared labor and collective labor. When I started collecting materials, I didn't collect the materials because I thought that the materials were beautiful. I thought that the materials had this strong sense of aesthetics, and within these aesthetics are embedded, of course, the politics of any given society, and which shapes the form and the character that these materials take. And I was very much interested in the inherent labor within these materials, because if you look at these bags, they are old, some of them are tarted, some of them have like a lot of stamps on them, some of them have layers of stamps, some of them have stitches on them, and all of these things come from the hand. The idea that someone has touched it, used it, someone has retouched it, used it. So I'm interested in all these different layers and how it characterizes the material. So certainly, I think for me that was like that's a gift in itself. So when I'm making work, I'm already thinking about the question of the gift of the inherent labor within the material, and how that influences your work as an artist, like my work as an artist, and how I think about the idea that the collective or the general community is already embedded within the work. So that's why in Ghana, I invested a lot of my time and resources into building the Savannah Center, Red Clay, the studio, which is the largest contemporary art space in the country, which also presents like collections, contemporary art collections to local public in the first place. But not to say that these local publics, they are not aware of these, they are aware of these objects that they see, but you never really think about it within a cultural or within, let's say, a contemporary art context. And I think that one of the questions about any community is also about the question of freedom. And I think that's one of the main questions that art poses. What does it mean? What does freedom mean? What does it mean to be free? What do objects mean within our environment? And as an artist, how do we ensure that there is justice within the world that we find ourselves in how we produce, and how those things are seen, how they're redistributed, how it affects um, not just the psychology, but how it shapes the minds of, let's say, generations that are yet to be born, or generations that are living now, or older generations culturally, in such a way that it changes our view of the world that we find ourselves in. I think maybe sometimes I think we should rather think about it in this way. We always imagine that when objects are old and then they've been used, charred, scarred, there are all these wounds within them, they're repaired. We always think that they're at the end of their life cycle. But sometimes I like to think that that's when they're actually beginning to live, you know. Even on one of the texts of Arundhati Roy, there's a quote by her where she says, like, she's talking about like the conditions within Kashmir, and she's talking about the fact that the dead are living and the living are dead people pretending. You know, so when an object in Africa, we also have a proverb that says that when an old person dies, an entire library dies with them, because the idea that when something is growing and aging through the universe and through this world itself, it accumulates so much memory regardless of where the body is coming from. And these objects act that way. And the building in which we are in itself acts this way, because all these buildings were built within the colonial period, and they were used for trading spice and other things. And of course, we know the history of colonialism and how that shaped like entire geographical context around the world. And also the sense of place and belonging. Like, what's your relationship as an Indian in relation to someone from Pakistan or Bangladesh, or someone from like Vietnam or something like that, or to Ghana. Again, if you're thinking about the history of India in relation to Ghana, we had a lot of Indian workers who were brought to Ghana during the colonial period, who were working in the railways and other sectors. And in the post-independence era, certainly we also had a lot of Indians who like moved to Ghana, like they're like 3, 4, 5th generation Indians in Ghana who like own big businesses and all that. So for me, again, it's very important to think about the sense of place. And architecture certainly has a role to play within that, in terms of what it reminds us about our shared and collective histories, and also about what architecture does as a vessel in terms of the memories that are contained within that, and how we can complicate that even a lot further by bringing in new materials, as in the context of this work, the Parliament of Ghosts, building this platform within the space, bringing the jute bags, sewing them, creating these multiple textured layers on the wall like a skin, repairing the furnitures within the space, even doing workshops in the space with the students whilst we're even working. So for me, it's also, back to that question of the community is very important. It was about this relationship between making, and then within that process of making, how do we account for the politics of space and the politics of history in itself, and then how do we open it up further? Yeah, I think, as they always say, that art is subjective. Like, people read their own meanings into work, but we can also all agree that most of the materials in this space are materials that we're all familiar with. Bags, when you go to the market, they're on the floor, used as rags. We always see it in trucks being transported across the country. All that we eat, that we survive from, actually are contained within these materials. Spices, rice, maize, all the other things that are like the gifts of life in terms of food. And these furnitures certainly also like possess a lot of memory in terms of like the bureaucracies of history, the potentials of histories, the histories of families, and all that. So for me, I think that people will have different points of relations to it. Some people will have a more utilitarian relationship with it in terms of like being able to use it, sit on it as an artwork, which allows you to touch, sit, move things around. Whereas some people also will just look at it as one uniform composition of looking at the relationship between the memories contained within these furnitures in dialogue with the memories that are contained within these bags. Yeah, because both of them have to do with the body, but one has to do with the body contained within it, and the other one has to do with commodities contained within it. But again, what the human body throughout history sometimes has always been treated almost like a commodity. And we can look at it in relation to like how borders have been created over the centuries, and especially in the 20th century, and how that prevents us from like somehow traveling across the world, going to different places. Whereas the labor that we put into growing commodities are the ones that mostly are easily accessible. But the moment our bodies, our color, our minds come into the question, they're like, oh no, we only want what we can get from you, but not your body in itself. So I think there's a political discourse within there that maybe people would take time in order to be able to resolve, and also like draw their own meanings out of.